Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Outbreak official podcast, where we talk to people who are involved with the festival, have played it, create culture around it, and hopefully enlighten you about this awesome music scene that we hold so dear. And my friends, we have a lineup. We announced the 2025 edition probably about a month and a half or so ago. So first off, first London event ever for Outbreak. It's on June 13th in Victoria Park in cooperation with the Lido Festival. And then we've got Turnstile, Alex G, Knocked Loose, Sunny Day Real Estate, and a whole lot more. Trust me in saying you were going to want to be there because this is literal history-making stuff. Then we bring it back to Manchester on June 14th and 15th with so many of the aforementioned bands, but then also we have Slowdive, Denzel Curry, Foxing, Military Gun, Tsunami, Tiger's Jaw, and of course, a lot more. So tickets are on sale right now. If you just go to outbreak-fest.co.uk or you just Google Outbreak, obviously, you're smart, you're on the internet, you know what's up. And a link is also going to be in the show notes of this particular episode, so that way you can buy tickets because you're not going to want to miss this thing. Payment plans are also available, so that way you can be like, hey, I want to put a little down and then I want to pay off every time I get paid for my job or, graduation money or whatever it is that people get money from. We, this week, are extremely happy to welcome on Bert and Tom from Split Chain, who are making their way across the United States as we speak on tour with Silverstein. This UK-based band has captured a ton of people's attention, including Outbreak, because we had them on the 2024 edition. They played. It was an amazing time. They were shocked at their reaction. They were just like, are people going to even care? Is anyone going to do stage dives? Like, what are we talking about here? But they have a really interesting blend of like 90s shoegaze with their own sort of grunge thing going on. And I know a lot of people enjoy the band, and it was evident by their performance at the festival. We also talk about them signing Epitaph Records, and we discuss a ton more. So stay tuned. Obviously, that's why you're listening to this thing or watching this thing. We took a break over the holidays from publishing new episodes, but every 2 weeks up until early April, we're going to be publishing new episodes. So make sure to follow and subscribe wherever it is you consume podcasts. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to follow the Outbreak channel, so that way you'll be able to get all of the new uploads that happen there. And also, you can follow along with the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you consume. Just make sure you're subscribed, because that way you do not miss the things as they come through, as the internet says, hey, you should listen to this thing. Huge shout out to our main sponsor this season, Squarespace. So if you are looking to launch a website or a domain, a digital footprint, as it were, there's no better place to do that with Squarespace. And they're going to give you 10% off of your first website or domain by using the code Outbreak. You can, of course, email the show, podcast@outbreak-fest.co.uk for any sort of feedback you have or ideas for next year, because we're already looking. Plane tickets are happening. Like, this is an exciting thing. So, yes, now let's talk to Bert and Tom from Split Chain right now.
Hey, I'm Tom, and I play bass in Split Chain.
And I'm Bert, and I play guitar and I sing in Split Chain.
Spectacular. That'll be the nice, B-roll intro footage.
Yeah, wicked.
So, like I mentioned off camera, legitimately like your band, and
it's just the weirdest thing to hear.
Right. Well, and that the first question I was going to ask, where it's like, for you guys, like, considering that most all of this is new, playing festival, doing an interview.
Yeah.
is it one of those things where it surprises you, like, how far your music can travel?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, tell me about those feelings, like when you first started to interact with managers and like getting booked on shows and stuff. Like, what did that feel like for you guys?
It's just surreal.
I think we're still processing a lot of it, because of how it's happened and the way it's happened so quickly, we get, you know, these offers come through, like, this is sick. And we go to play these shows and we're like, holy shit, we actually have to play this.
Yeah. And
Do
then,
you know what I mean? It's like one thing seeing the offer and thinking, yeah, this is really cool. And then getting there, and then you have to process it when you're there and you're like,
yeah.
oh my God.
It's
I
just,
don't know.
yeah. And then having like the industry side of things where like people are like, oh, you know, we really want to work with you, all this kind of stuff. And it's like, why us? Like, it's really weird. I just don't know.
Yeah.
It's just really, really hard to process.
Well, and probably too, you usually coming from the hardcore punk scene adjacent or what have you, like you're used to having that level of trust with people where you're just like, oh, like if you know my band, like I probably already like you or trust you.
Yeah.
But then obviously having to filter out people that just want something to do with you because they're like, oh, I can like make money off you or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, have you guys had to kind of have that, filter, so to speak?
We've had to kind of learn a bit, I think, because there was like a point where we just had like floods of emails come through and it's like, we don't know who this person is, why you're talking to us. And it's kind of like, I think it was like excitement at first. And then it was like, let's stop for a minute and go, we don't know who any one of these people are. So it's like, let's stick with who we do know. And it's our friends and friends of friends. And it's like, let's keep it here. And then we can talk to these people and have like meetings and whatever, and then learn about them more and like see if they are actually involved in the scene that we want to be in. And then it's like, okay, cool. Now, become friends with them essentially. And then it's like, let's work, rather than just strangers being like, I'm going to work with you.
It's very easy. Yeah. It was very easy to tell though. When you take a step back, it's easy to tell who's in it for the money side of things.
Yeah.
And then who's in it because they actually care. We had, don't know how much we can say, but we had an offer through via text, like via WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Like for like a label.
Right.
Offer. It was a bit like
some weird,
like really,
weird
really?
label. And it's like,
you're like, are you selling me cryptocurrency?
Yeah,
that's what it felt like. It was
weird,
really
man.
weird.
So weird, but
we left him on red.
yeah.
We just carried on. Yeah.
and that's something that you learn, like, especially too, where it's like when you are in your late teens, 20s or whatever, and you're getting these things that like you don't even expect your band to receive.
Mm-hmm.
And then being able to, like you said, process it and figure out the best moves. Like, you're an idiot. You're clueless. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, but you're not
that's
wrong.
what it felt like. It's like, we have no idea what any of this means. We were just playing shows and releasing music, and it's like,
Yeah, I mean,
why?
we never expected any of this to
No.
come of what we were doing.
No.
It came about because we were bored. That was literally it. We were writing songs because we were bored. Figured we'd go to the studio for a laugh. We had some time spare, a little bit of money spare, so we're like, why not? And then it just seems to have blown up into this random thing. So we've been taken completely aback by it.
Yeah.
And we're just like, holy shit, okay, this is happening.
Yeah. It feels like we don't have control of it.
Yeah.
It's like there's like the split chain is like its own thing, and we're just like, okay, you do what you want to do, and we're just following in.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's that saying where once you put your art out into the world, it's not yours anymore.
Yeah.
But even with that, the idea of being like, effectively your guys' demo, getting interest from people, just, people like myself, randomly finding it from California.
Yeah.
It's insane. As
Yeah.
soon as we saw like the people in the US, it was like, oh shit. I was like, okay. And then it's like, oh, there's a few from Australia, and then we get merch orders from Australia, and then like Southeast Asia, and then like Europe, and it's like, oh, it is actually it's a global thing rather than us playing some songs at a local venue.
Right, right. And you're like, how much does it cost to ship merch to Southeast Asia?
Dude.
It's insane.
You lose money immediately where you're just like, oh, maybe like, because you feel bad where you're like, I'm charging more for shipping than the order. And then you're like, wait, but I just lost like $30. Like, we just broke even.
When we did our first hoodie, and it was like, oh, so we got hoodies, put them online. It's like, oh, it'll probably be like, I don't know, a tenner shipping to the US. No, £25. It's like, fuck, just lost money, but at least someone in the US has got a hoodie. So
yeah, exactly.
Right, because you're not emailing them being like, hey, can you send $10 more? And they're like, no, you should have thought of this beforehand. Are you guys professional? You're like, absolutely not.
Yeah, we have no idea.
A little break in the action to talk about our awesome friends at Squarespace. Look at this cool logo, Squarespace. Ultimately, I want to give you 10% off your first website or domain by visiting squarespace.com/outbreak. And it gets you 10% off of your first purchase of a website or a domain. And this whole show is made possible by the amazing friends at Squarespace. They are the best place to design, launch, sell stuff. If you're in a band, if you run a record label, these are absolute necessities for you. And I personally have launched more than one site with Squarespace, and I love what they do. Let's just talk about some of the cool things that you can do. Not only is it super easy to design your website, drag and drop, you don't need to know code at all. Like, this is idiot proof. And I'm the idiot. I'm not calling you an idiot because obviously you're not, because you're listening to this podcast, obviously. They have design intelligence. So what they do is they introduce ideas to you. You might have this really cool layout, and then all of a sudden you're like, I don't know, this doesn't look good. That's where the design intelligence comes into play and goes, hey, you should think about this. You should make it look like this. And it's like, you know what? That's a really good idea. And they also accept Squarespace payments. They can work with Klarna, ACH. They can take direct debit in the United States, Apple Pay, Afterpay. All of those payment options make it easier for you to transact and get the things that the people are looking for from you. So please go to squarespace.com/outbreak for 10% off of your first website or domain and make the digital world prettier. Okay. So launch your thing now today.
This sort of frames it around, or this question sort of frames around the idea of like, I mean, even though you guys are obviously still, getting started, the idea of, side hustles and, jobs. Like, I mean, most people, like, especially in punk and hardcore, like, they never quit a job. They'll work in a bagel shop or whatever for years because they'll be like, hey, I can come home from tour and then work at this bagel shop or whatever.
Yeah.
What are your, like, if I'm putting you on the spot, your favorite sort of, side gig, hustle, job or whatever? I mean, they could literally be the jobs you're working now. Just because I find it interesting where so many people are in some interesting, jobs or situations where it's like, oh yeah, I'm doing this random thing. And like, they love that I'm in a band and on tour or whatever.
Well, I've recently left my job, but I did work for like an ethical bank.
Oh.
So like the first ethical bank in the UK sort of thing.
That's cool.
So it wasn't anything crazy. It was just like customer service, but they're like very explicit in the things that they don't invest in, where major banks might, and things like that. So
what did you tell them when you quit? Were you like, I'm a rock star now?
It was weird because like my manager, he was really into like early metalcore. So like Bullet for My Valentine and stuff like that. So I told him, I think, that we had these like this festival booked. And we had some tours, but we had a tour booked with Gel and stuff. And he was like, I don't really know what that means, but sick. Like, he was stoked, and he was like, low key, I'm a little bit jealous. Like, you guys get to go ahead with this. I'm like, I'm really sorry, but so yeah, I've been lucky enough to be able to like take a step back now, but that's what I did.
Oh yeah, because Tom tried to book holiday we got 3 shows in Germany from Monday.
Yeah,
and then he couldn't get a holiday off of it. So
yeah,
it's just like,
I used all of my holiday in the first like 5 months of this year for shows. So I was like, I don't really have a choice. I kind of have to quit now.
Right.
Quit or get fired.
All my vacation time. But the fact that your boss knew like British metalcore,
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
I would say he's probably like 8 years older than me. I'm not like late 20s.
Yeah.
So he's probably like mid 30s or something, right? So he was like stoked, like genuinely stoked.
Right.
But he was like, he did say he was a little bit jealous.
Right.
Sorry.
Just the fact that you're like, oh yeah, like, Bring Me the Horizon, like, we'll be doing that. And he's like, no way.
Yeah, he was, he's a sweetheart.
That's incredible. That's incredible. What about you?
I currently work at for a company who runs a couple venues in Bristol.
Okay.
And so the venue that I work at, we did our first ever show there. It's like self-promoted, like, we did it all. So yeah, I work at a music venue, and luckily they're really nice with me having time off to do work, to do shows and everything else. So it's like, that's all good. So we put on gigs, I do their socials and like whatever else.
That's really good. He does all the graphic design stuff. He always sells himself really short, but he does all the graphic design, everything. So
that's
so having that coming into this has been like
it
a
is
godsend.
I mean, it is 75% of why bands are like, the music is obviously important, but when you have a person in the band that can understand not only like, oh, I know how to use Photoshop and all these, After Effects and all this stuff, like that helps out so much.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of like, I started this job doing like socials and gigs and stuff, and then I kind of went into it not really knowing how to do any of it. I was on YouTube and Instagram Reels, learning how to do graphic design, which is insane. Instagram Reels was amazing, and then from that I started learning to do graphic design, doing the graphic design work, and then bringing it into the band. And it's like full circle. It's like
The work,
yeah,
you were going to YouTube University.
Yep.
Yeah.
University.
yeah,
And then the fact that you could apply those principles
Yep.
to your band, where it's just like, thank you,
Yeah.
internet.
yeah.
And the fact
honestly,
it's worked as well is
yeah,
the craziest
it's
part.
insane.
It's just like one thing, like taking it and using it, but for it to work as well as
Yeah.
it has done, it's like, holy shit, they're onto something.
Right.
But like people say, oh, it's really good what you do. If professionals watched me do like video editing or like,
Mhm.
they would be like, what are you doing? Because I know I'm not doing it right.
Right.
But I can do, I've got the button, and I'm like,
Right.
nothing.
Well, and that's in that, like, I think that hits on a really important topic of the idea of the creative process. I don't care what it is, writing music, graphic design, anything. Like, no one, I mean, yes, you can use similar principles, but no one
Yeah.
does it the same. Where it's like, you guys writing your music, like, this isn't, I mean, most likely, I'm guessing this is not your very first band, right? Or
It
is
is
it?
for me.
For him, yeah. For me, it's not. No.
Right. And so it's like, usually when you're doing your first band, like, you're obviously terrible. You're like, could barely, like, if you write an original song, you're like,
Oh, it was awful.
Right.
I hate it. My first one was so bad.
but then it's like you take those little ideas and apply it towards the stuff that you do
Yeah.
with friends in a more quote unquote professional way, even though that
Yeah.
wasn't the intention. But it's like, yeah, if people watch that process, to your point, there's like,
Yeah.
wait, you have no idea what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of it is the way, it's not like, for me personally, I feel like I've blagged a lot of it. I've just been in the right place at the right time. But yeah,
But
I
that-
mean,
that
if it
helps.
works, it
Yeah.
works. I'm not gonna,
Nope.
if it's up to divine intervention or something,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna question. I'm just gonna let it happen. I don't care. Fuck it. Why not?
Get existential with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Totally. By the time that we release this video, you guys will have announced a very cool partnership from a
Oh.
record label perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you've been cleared to speak about this.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So the idea of working with Epitaph is, I mean, that you giggling right there
Yeah.
is like, and just like hearing that, just like for me, I was like, wow, not only is that a really cool fit, but it also makes sense where it's like, because correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, even though obviously come from punk hardcore, the sound that you guys have, while it's popular within this scene, like you want to be playing to someone outside of just your average hardcore kid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
And the alignment with Epitaph seems to fit in well with that. So talk to me about that. Not only the decision to obviously work with Epitaph, but the idea of being like, we are, we want to play in front of quote unquote as many, I'm putting words in your mouth, but play in front of as many different people as possible.
Yeah.
So talk to me about
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I think like you said is like our sound is in that kind of hardcore adjacent area, but then we've had people who are like in other genres or like, fans of who have been taking us on and being like more like the industrial goth kind of side,
Even
or like
death metal. we've
yeah,
had a
like the
bit.
metal-y side, a lot of support from that. So it's like we know that there's something that we can build outside of this scene and just be seen to a lot more people.
Wanna be-
And it's something that we want to do, because obviously we're not just, what we like isn't just in this scene. We know like Tom's really into like black metal. We've got Aaron and Jake who are really into just like real heavy deathcore, and like the other side of it, I like more like emo and like some pop punky kind of stuff as well. And then like Ollie really into like the post-hardcore thrice and that kind of scene. So it's like we've got that bit where we all come together and make this music, but then what we like is so much broader. And like if we can go in and like tour with those bands would be insane, so like yeah.
I think that they're just, because we had a few, not obviously, but we had a few label offers come through at the time. So we had to sort of debate, even as on like a visual level, of
Yeah.
what it looked like, the branding with Split Chain and whatever label, fortunately Epitaph. And even just looking at it like that, from see the Epitaph logo, the split chain logo, and it just
You know,
looks
like,
it's kind of meant to
their
be.
their roster is just perfect.
Yeah.
Because it's like they have got Thrice and, you know, the more like the older post-hardcore side, and then they've also got like Teenage Wrist and like the newer emo kind of side. So I feel like their roster is just perfect for us to kind of sit in. So like, you know, people who are fans of the label would hopefully also, you know, check us out as well. I think it was worked pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's like there is a uniqueness about, like, frankly, existing outside the United States.
Yeah.
Like there's that just exoticness where it's like, this band's from the UK or this band's from Australia. And it's like, especially too, like once you guys get over to the States and start to experience that, like people immediately think you're smarter because of your accent, obviously.
If only they knew.
Yeah.
Like,
But just like that, and so that allure of being from a place different than America, it's so, it helps you fit into that label where it's just like, oh yeah, we don't have a ton of bands from the UK.
Yeah.
Here we go. Like, this could be kind of our flagship for that side of things.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they've got anyone from the UK on the label at the moment.
no idea. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But I say that allure is like, it's kind of reversed as well, because we see the US as
Yeah, we're
this
like,
crazy
oh my
exotic
God,
space,
it's like,
you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like to have a US label, not only a US label, but to have Epitaph.
yeah, it's just
Huge.
insane.
Yeah, it's like,
When we got that email come through, we were sort of like, what?
yeah, we're about to
Fuck
play a
is
show in
going-
Liverpool, and we were like,
What the fuck is
the
going
fuck's
on?
happening, man? Like,
You're like, we're done. We're
Yeah.
done. I don't think that we can even play the show. Like,
Yeah, it's like,
We might-
I quit.
Honestly.
just the fact that we got a record offer and we accepted it, like, I think we're good. Like,
Yeah.
we're done here.
Yeah.
Wait,
It's like, you know, what else do we need to do?
we gonna put out more music? Like, really? Jeez.
Yeah, fuck, dude.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to remind you. I apologize.
I'll say the album is just back of the head, just every day.
Yep.
You got an album to do.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Oh my God.
We have committed to this.
Yeah.
So on that like topic of the, you know, American UK experience, like there are undoubtedly perceptions that you have of the United States where it's like, this is weird. Why do you guys do this? Like, so because us Americans like constantly make fun of, you know, beans and toast and whatever, all the generic things. I'm giving you guys the platform now. Like, what can you make fun of from the United States perspective where it's just like, why do you guys do that? It can be food. It can be, you know,
I mean, everything is just huge.
Oh.
Everything is insanely big.
Yeah.
I went to America once to go to Disneyland when I was little, and it was just like everything is really brightly colored and massive.
yes.
And it's just like, it's just insane. It's like you get a packet of crisps or chips, and then it's just like this big, this wide, and it's just insane.
Yes. We, generally speaking, everything is probably like times and a half of whatever the rest of the world is, where it's like, even if it's like a hotel room, where it's just like, oh no, like our king size is bigger than your king size or whatever. It's
And
like,
3 refills.
yes.
That was insane. We went there. It was like this woman took my drink. I was like, there was a little
Someone
bit
took
left.
your drink.
Yeah, and then she put it back. I was like, I didn't ask for a drink. I was like, oh my God. 3 refills, insane, and I love it.
right. You're like, are you charging me for that?
Yeah, I don't know. Oh my God.
Yeah. So do you have any perception of, maybe if you even haven't traveled over there, just the
Perceptions. I don't know. Genuinely, I don't know. Like,
yeah, no, that's okay. It's no problem. Yeah,
I genuinely don't know.
that's totally.
Otherwise, it's gonna be.
We can. Well, you'll have your first experience and then you can report back.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
Why the hell are you guys' truck stops so big?
Yeah.
Oh, I saw a picture online, and it was like I think it was a petrol station, and it was insane. It was like
Is it like a
50
shopping mall or something?
It was like 50 pumps or something. Like, it was a huge road. I was like, that just sums it up, really, doesn't it?
It's got a massive indoor shopping mall kind of thing. I swear there's one.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And this is also, again, this is stupid, but the idea that here in the UK, you pump your fuel first and then you go inside to pay. Under no circumstances do we do that in the United States. You have to pay first with your card, or you bring your bank card into the, you know, gas station and be like, oh, can I have $40 on 6 or whatever? So the fact that you guys are so trusting as a nation. Yeah. So
Do you guys have it as well where you have people like fill the car for you?
just in 2 states
Just
in
in two.
particular. Yes.
Okay.
So don't be weirded out when you first go over there and when someone touches the pump, you're just and they're like sweating you. You're like, what? What's happening here? You're like, oh, this is your job. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The last question I'll ask in regards to you guys, like playing shows, recording, like there's obviously so many different aspects to like putting a band together, merch, design, all that sort of stuff. If you were to put your, I guess, favorite thing where it's like, this is what I enjoy the most with a band. I mean, I know that you guys have obviously, you're still just kind of spreading your wings, so to speak, but what's your favorite part as it stands right now with the band?
Playing live
I said
for me. It's like,
100%.
yeah, it's
100%.
always. I don't even mind the traveling, to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, when we get to America, that might be a different story with the like 12-hour drives, whatever it is.
There is,
Yeah.
my friend.
Yeah.
Welcome to the state called Texas. Yeah. Or you drive 8 hours and you're like, wait, are we the same state?
Same city, like what the fuck?
We would be in the ocean if we were in the United States.
To get to Scotland in that time, probably.
Yeah,
like,
good.
and then back down.
From here to Germany is 12 hours.
Yeah.
So we'd be going through 4 countries, I think.
And across the channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're taking a ferry, but in America, across Texas, we're just in our van. That's all we got. So okay, the travel doesn't bother you, but
Yeah, the travel, but the playing live, playing live is kind of like a new experience for me generally anyway.
True.
Before we'd start this, I'd never bothered doing it. I didn't think much of it. So every time I get on stage, I'm shitting it. But every time after, I'm like, holy shit, that was insane. I want to do that more. So
Playing live is always the goal. That's always the one thing that I think for us anyway, like it's always been about is a really good live show.
yeah, it's what makes it worth it.
It's
all
just
the
fun.
bullshit.
It's so fun. But then I think on the other side, you got like you said, like the design and all this. Still love all that, but it is, it's always down to the live show.
the live, yeah. And do people, just because I haven't seen you play before, do people, like when people are interacting with you, whether it's sing-alongs or doing stage dives or whatever, is it like, are you surprised because your music doesn't necessarily like encourage that? Like how is it you're surprised in the way that people are interacting with you?
It's the singing along, which is the weirdest part. I think the run we did with Soup Heaven just now, last month, we played in Bristol at the Marble Factory. And I remember looking sort of at the front row and just seeing kids like singing the lyrics.
Just
like,
insane.
What the fuck? Like, what the fuck? It's just mad, yeah.
We're still in this in this area of we don't think like we're a band that people know. I think that's really hard to get out of when, especially me and the rest of the guys have been in bands before, but didn't get anywhere, like no fans or anything. And then it's like, it's hard to be like, oh no, people actually do like you. And like people know they listen to you, they know your words and like, they want to come to a show and sing along. It is just insane.
Sometimes it feels a bit Truman Show.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this is all going to be one big joke and it's going to be ripped out from under us. And like, fuck, dude, what have I just done for the last year or whatever?
Right, you're like why did I quit my bank job? Like,
yeah.
This is one elaborate prank.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. Genuinely.
Honestly.
So you've got all these extras singing along. It's like, no, you don't really care. Like, I don't know.
I never thought about the Truman Show experience being applied to a band.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, the idea that like, or I mean, how people have used the word like industry plant, where it's just like, obviously, I mean, you're an industry. Like, you came from the banking world. Like,
we've been actually kind of waiting to see how long it takes before we get to this, so.
You're like, well, once we get the online criticism of being an industry plant,
we've made it. We're good.
We've made it, and then at that point, then
that's when I quit. I'm out.
You guys can quit more than once. You're like, all right, Epitaph, I'm sorry, we broke up because we're industry plants. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Well, I genuinely appreciate you guys spending time.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us, man. It was really cool.
It's been
Of
nice.
course,
Really
of
cool.
course. Thanks, dudes.
Thank you.
Nice. Thank you.
Sweet.